All right, we are continuing our 7.4 notes on adding and subtracting rational expressions. So with regular fractions, what happens if we don't have common denominators? Well, we of course have to make them be common denominators. So what would be our least common denominator between 12 and 10? And that would be 60. So I need to multiply the left by 5 and the right by 6 to get 35 over 60 plus 18 over 60, which gives us a total of 53 over 60. Now, of course, we always want to check to make sure that we don't have any reducing to do, but because we found our least common denominator, most likely we wouldn't have to reduce anything. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with our rational expressions. So we're going to start with, do I need to factor? And when we talk about factoring, we're only going to factor the denominators. So in the example on the left, x plus 3, do I have any factoring to do with that? Greatest common factor? And the answer to that is no. What about the x minus 5? The answer to that is also no. So do x plus 3 and x minus 5 have anything in common? And even though they both have an x, remember, that's not alone. They're glued together, so the whole x plus 3 and the whole x minus 5 are two different things. So to make a common denominator, I'm going to have to multiply the left side by x minus 5 and the right side by x plus 3, top and bottom, so that my denominators on both sides have an x minus 5 and an x plus 3. Distribute on the top. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 3 is 6. Now that we have our common denominator and we've taken care of our numerators, remember, we don't do anything with the denominator, we just write it down. On the top, we're going to combine like terms. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that subtraction to everything on the right, which remember changes their signs. So I look at 4x squared, no other like term, so I can write that down. Negative 20x plus negative 2x is negative 22x. And then that negative 6 doesn't have anything in common. All right, so we could try to factor this down further, but there won't be anything that we can simplify out. So that would be our final answer. Remember, you can choose to multiply that denominator if you want to. However, you do not have to. On this right side, we're going to again start with factoring, but only the denominators. Okay, only the denominators. So x squared plus x minus 2 does not have a common factor. So we need the factors of negative 2 that add to positive 1, which are going to be positive 2 and negative 1. On the right side, x squared minus 1 does not have a common factor, so we factor that using difference of squares, which is x plus 1 and x minus 1. So now I want to look at my denominators and see, is there anything that's common? And there is. They both have x minus 1. So I don't want to repeat the x minus 1s. So this x plus 1 is what's missing over here on the left. So I have to multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 1. And then the x plus 2 is what's missing on the right. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom on the right by x plus 2. So that gives us a denominator of x plus 1, x plus 2, and x minus 1 on both sides. And remember, the order that you write them in, because this is multiplying, will not matter. All right, on the top left, I need to distribute or FOIL. So we have x squared plus 3x plus 1x plus 3. And then over here on the right, I'm distributing. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. All right, so now I need to combine like terms on my numerators to get my final answer. So our denominator again, x plus 1, x plus 2, x minus 1, and on the top, like terms. So I'm going to start with x squared. No other x squared. Then we have 3x plus 1x plus 2x, which is a total of 6x. And then 3 plus 4 is 7. Now again, we should always check to see, what factoring could be done and if I can reduce more, but there are no factors of positive 7 that'll make positive 6. And so that is going to be the final answer. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day.